For the air and water are both what we call fluids, and so the mechanics of flow is the same. So this was flowing under the air, but I think it was during the flood flowing under the water. And so, but look at this, it's like rapids of cement coming off a cement truck. It's just, how do you imagine this? How do you process this information? It's just more than I can handle. You see a lot of trees and stuff in there too. Some of them upright. And now, as the mud has come to a halt, this pancake is halted, but the pancakes are still hot, as you can see, because they're steaming pancake. It's a pancake layer of mud, okay? Pancakes. I like to talk about pancakes. But the pancakes are still steaming. Remember, I wanted to carve a canyon in this stack of pancakes and see what those pancakes look like on their edges, in the side view. I want to carve a canyon and go inside and look around and see what those pancakes are like in side view. Well, we didn't have to carve a canyon, because sometimes that steam would collect in such a way that it'd explode. Here's a steam explosion. This is not a volcanic eruption. It's a steam explosion. It's a technical geologic term for where steam explodes. And this steam explosion would ream out a steam explosion pit. And now you can see a pit, a big pit, carved out by this steam explosion. Here's another one looking down from a helicopter. Now, I wanted to carve a canyon in here. I want to see what these pancakes look like in side view. I mean, we're looking straight down here, okay? You can see the perspective. But we don't have to do that. We can go down inside the steam explosion pit and see what we see. Now, I realize not all of you like geology as much as I do, but who in their right mind would not want to go down inside a steam explosion pit on the side of an active volcano? I mean, this is good stuff. I promise you it'd make your socks roll up and down. Okay, you ready? Let's go down inside the steam explosion pit and have a look around. Can you imagine? Can you process this? I mean, it's just hard to comprehend. But here we are inside the steam explosion pit, but notice the sides of the pit. You can see different pancake layers. In fact, you can see 3 pancakes. This, it turns out, was a 40-mile-an-hour mud flow. This was a 90-mile-an-hour mud flow. And this was another one. I mean, we know that because we clocked it. I mean, we know it. I mean, it is known, okay? But you can see them over here, too. This is that 90-mile-an-hour mud flow. The 40-mile-an-hour is up here. Look at that. Okay, there's the 40-mile-an-hour mud flow. There's a 90-mile-an-hour mud flow. Look at all that internal structure to the 90-mile-an-hour mud flow. Again, I would have thought it would just be a slop deposit. That's the technical geologic term for it, slop deposit. But look at all this internal structure. Here's a person for scale. Look at that. I mean, you've driven between here and Oklahoma City, and you've gone through the Arbuckle Mountains, and you've seen those pancakes in side view. Well, look at them. It's got all this same kind of internal structure. In fact, look a little closer. It's got tiny little internal structure. In fact, I was taught whenever you see this kind of layering that each one of these layers, or a pair of layers, represents a year's worth of accumulation of sediment in a calm and placid ocean or a lake. It's a winter-summer couplet of layers. And the way a geologist is taught to answer the question, how long did it take for this sediment package to be laid down? The way a geologist is taught to do it, I was taught to do it this way, is you assign each one of those couplets is a year's worth of stuff, and the way they answer the question, how many years were involved, you come in here and you count. You go in here, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there are millions and millions of those layers in there. So obviously it took millions and millions of years. Wrong. This took one afternoon with a 90-mile-an-hour mud flow. How long does it take to lay down these layers? I mean, how long does it take to lay down these layers? Well, these layers are in Grand Canyon, but it's the same character of deposit. Different scale in some fashions, but it's the same character of the sediments. I think we're talking about these underwater mud flows. I think that's what you're looking at. It's hardened into stone now, but it used to be a mud, a sedimentary rock used to be muddy sediments. Back to the mountain. Here's that big steam explosion pit. Again, looking down from a helicopter at this point. I wanted to carve a canyon in here. I mean, I really did want to see these things. I really did. But we didn't have to, because the main eruption was in 1980. The 40-mile-an-hour mud flow happened in 1982. But then in 1984, another mud flow came down the mountain and filled in that steam explosion pit, and then busted out the downhill end of it. It just overflowed that pit and just busted it out and carved a whole canyon through that fairly recently deposited sediment package. And now we can stand here on the edge of the steam explosion pit and look down a canyon, not just a pit. Look down a canyon. I mean, now I have spent a lot of time in Grand Canyon. This looks an awful lot like Grand Canyon from the air. This is just what the canyon looks like. This is a scale model of it. In fact, we call it the Little Grand Canyon. But okay, there's my buddy, Dr. Steve Austin. Steve, he's a geologist. He's the chairman of the geology department there at ICR. I'm the president. I'm a geologist. He's the chairman of the geology department, and he's a good geologist. I mean, he is a good geologist. He's really smart. He's not only smart, he's bright. I mean, he is so smart that whenever he and I are out together, we go out a lot. Whenever he and I are out together, he's a good geologist. He can take a good picture. But he is so smart that whenever we're out, he makes me carry the camera. And I love to take pictures. I've taken a lot of pictures, and it occurred to me a couple years ago that I have thousands of pictures of Steve Austin in the field and none of me. That occurred to me. My kids don't even believe me anymore. But, oh, there's some more people over there. Got that? They were in there with us. But, okay, here's a thought. Here's a point. Notice that Steve Austin, he's smart, you know, but he's standing right there on the edge of this 100-foot drop. It's a vertical drop in this area, a 100-foot drop. Now, this stuff, this was laid down in 1980. The canyon was carved out in 1982, and